pleasant good morning to the students. Good morning, one and all. Welcome to the midweek's episode. Today is Wednesday, the 28th day of May 2025. So welcome to this midweek episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome, one and all. Welcome. Hope you had a wonderful night, rest. Hope you're looking forward to a productive day. I know it's a lot of rain. We get a lot of rain around. Georgetown, East Coast, raining cats and rats. They say cats and dogs. Well, I'm doing my own thing. Raining pigs and cows and all sort of thing going on. So be safe. You know, when it's raining, a lot of things happen, you know. Raining, cars travel, hydroplaning, with all kind of madness. So be careful on the road. Yeah, today, Wednesday, the 28th day of May 2025. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we have to always, never, ever forget that it's all because of the mercies of the Lord that we are here to be in this program and to be on the face of the earth. So give praise, give thanks, and say, give praise and give thanks, and welcome, one and all. Needless to say that my colleague is already in the studio, rearing and ready to go. But let me tell you up front, we have I believe it's a record attendance in the schoolyard this morning. Hundreds in the schoolyard. And in the interest of time, we have so much to tell you this morning, so much to tell you. In the interest of time, we're going to forego the roll call for this morning. We're going to forego the roll call. Suffice to say that the program was scheduled at exactly 7 this morning. 7 it was scheduled, and many students came in at 7. Many. So share the live and let people know we have 400, 500 students already in the schoolyard, in the school, not the schoolyard. 500 already in. We know we're going to go up to thousands today. So share. And to let you know that the first person in, we're not going to go to the old roll call, but the first person in was that man from up in the hill. He started sleeping back in the school compound again. Barlet was here at 7 from the hills. And he was a company repair. Ulrich came in there, Evelyn, Lucius, Barbara. Let me give those who came in at 7. We had Barlet, Ulrich, Evelyn, Lucius, Barbara, Kenneth, all the way from Maryland, Felicia, Earl, Sean from upstate New York, Paulette, Tessa, Connor Rookman, Aubrey. There's Aubrey Pantless, and then we had Aubrey Graves, Sandy, Ezra, Ezzy. They all came at 7. And shortly after, we had a whole set of other people coming in. So welcome to you students. Welcome. It's good to see this this many students in the schoolyard. As I indicated, we have lots to tell you this morning. Nothing, according to the Jamaican, nothing go on. We have nothing to go on. So we're going to tell you about it this morning. We don't want to shortchange you. You know, we never do. Because what we can't feel today, we can come again and let you know what is going on. Right? We're going to let you know. So yes, share the live. CC is already here waiting to come in and to give this thing. We have some announcements to make. So I'm going to do the announcements. And then we're going to go straight into the meat of the program this morning. So those of you, not you on the live, but those students who would normally come in late after the roll call finish and after all the announcement, this morning they're going to lose out because we're going to go straight into the thing in a short while. The first announcement we want to make, you know, we started those sad announcements, and it's an update on the funeral arrangement for the late Roman Sergeant Mona Prowell. We understand it should be buried on the 30th of this month at Canal Number 1. The details have not been made known as yet, but we know the 30th. So those people in town or former colleagues and all of that, it's gonna be on Friday coming, Friday, May 30th, Canal Number 1. If we get the details, we're gonna let you know about it. And then we got some sad news this morning too about a student, Anna Regina, student, 17-year-old Udrecht Ram, killed in road accident again, motor vehicle accident. The story is sometime yesterday. 17-year-old, he's a student of the Anna Regina Multilateral Secondary School. came off the bus, so they say, went across the road from behind the bus, a next bus coming in the opposite direction, struck and killed him, 17 years old. He didn't even start to enjoy life yet. And that is what is going on in Guyana. Dangers all over. This 17-year-old. So, and then today, again, 439 days since Sergeant Alex Vaughn was killed, and police telling you all over and over. We ain't going to forget it. Just as how we would not forget the death of Adriana Young. And that will form part of our main discussion this morning. Because you might have known, or you might have seen, you might have heard that the police came out with what they say is the final postmortem examination. We are going to examine that report in detail. And there might be some things that we will reveal may surprise you. So that is what we have. That is what we have. So those are the announcements in terms of, well, birthday. We have belated birthday greetings to Assistant Superintendent on Probation, Travis Cush. Travis, I think was yesterday, was his birthday. You know, he's one of them who was promoted back in 2021, and the government refused to acknowledge. Nandalal went on the 29th of June 2021, and NCN issues in the news said they didn't recognize any promotions made by the Police Service Commission. And on today like today, they have not recognized those promotions. On today like today. And they talk about transparency, they talk about democracy, they talk about the rule of law and all of those things. So that's what Travis celebrated yesterday. And I understand that I saw post that he graduated from the university with a degree in law, whatever the degree is known as, and he is now pursuing his legal studies. I think it might be in the Bahamas or something. He's pursuing his legal studies. Congratulations to you, my brother, on your achievements. Congratulations. And you got to persevere, right? And then I have advanced birthday greetings to, I know he listens, but he don't come in the school here. He listens. I'm talking about Walter Griffith, my countryman and schoolmate. We knew him then as Dennis Griffith, right? BV man. He is observing a natal day, I think it was tomorrow or sometime in the near future. I want to take this opportunity to wish all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future, all the best on the birthday. I also want to take this opportunity, which I should have done before, to express condolences to the relatives and friends of all those deceased persons, especially the schoolboy, 17 years old. 17, the school is going to be thrown in grief. His village is going to be thrown in grief. His family, of course. That is what we have. And this is why we said this thing don't discriminate, you know. This lawlessness, what we talk about on the roads and other places, it didn't get Indians, it didn't get black, it didn't get Chinese, Portuguese, Amarin, it didn't get that. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discriminate. Whichever party is supporting, it doesn't discriminate. And that is why all of us should come together and demand that changes be made so that the roads and other things are better. We should all come together and make that demand. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move straight into it. CC, welcome, my brother. Welcome.
Good morning. Praise the Lord. We're in the land of the living to do God's work. It's a rainy day. My condolences to the relatives, family of those who passed away. And happy birthday to those you mentioned. But I nearly got trouble because tomorrow is the birthday of a very special person in my life. One of my granddaughter's 14-year-old, Cassandra Alfonso. And we had some issues yesterday, you know, because the thing when birthdays and so comes up, we have a standard operational procedure, and it's a financial input. And I'm responsible for that financial input. And she tell me, hey, grandfather, you gotta come up, you know. And I told her, as I told her before, I said, your grandfather is a unemployed pensioner. And she tell me, and I tell her, I said, and furthermore, I'm trying to sidetrack her. I said, furthermore, that dress what you got on is too short for a pastor's daughter to be wearing. Yes, she. Grandfather, let me tell you something, and let me tell you again. You got to spend some of the pensioners' money on your granddaughter that you beg mommy for. And furthermore, I didn't ask to be, I did ask to be a pastor's daughter. So I could wear any short thing I want to wear. So anyway, I had to concede, and she'll be having fun tomorrow.
As it was said, take them for your fastness. Take them for your fastness, telling the girl. But take them for your fastness, CC. You got to take
Yeah,
them for your fastness.
grandchildren, boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We love them. We love them. We
yeah,
love the
all the time, all the
grandson.
time.
We love them.
Mm.
Yeah, or heartbeat. That's a we. Because some
Yeah,
of them love and care, you know. Some of them and
true.
care. So, for example, some of them want us to forget about the death of Adriana Young, but we will not. We will
Yeah.
not. Not the murder of that young child. They want us to forget. We ain't gonna forget. Now let me go on. Let me go on. You know, on the last program on Monday, which was the holiday in respect of Independence Day and Memorial Day in the US, we told you about this disgraceful or about the disgraceful conduct of some people at the square of the revolution. Big public fighting promoted by some people, and two women, 300 people turn up to see two women fight. And that is a state of decay, moral decay that we find ourselves in this dear land of Guyana. Well, I was happy to see that they are reporting that the two combatants, the two women who fought, were charged and placed before the court yesterday for public fighting. I think they said social media personalities charged with public fighting. Good job. Good job. Charged with public fighting. Then I also noted they said that the organizers charged with inciting persons to commit a felony. The organizers, they said Dagi, I think the person, and Fata, they charged with inciting persons to commit a felony, because what is being said, they are the ones who publicize this thing on social media, calling them to fight and calling people to come and look at this fight. So they are charged with inciting persons to commit a felony. That's how they were put on $250,000 bail. That is according to the newspaper this morning. And one person was asked to lodge, the female, I think his father, asked to lodge or passport. I mean, I would say that is good work by the police to charge these people. I mean, they made a mess of it at the day in question because the thing was well publicized and they should have been more proactive. And then during the course of this melee, we saw the sergeant. I understand now the man who we saw shooting there indiscriminately is a police sergeant. Shooting people injured. We ain't hearing anything about that. And I have a strong suspicion that we will not hear anything about that type of conduct by the sergeant shooting indiscriminately. Right? We ain't going to hear anything about that. But I have some questions to ask, having complimented the police on instituting charges against the combatants. That's the two women who were fighting, and who they claim to say were the organizers. The organizers, they say they're charged with inciting persons to commit a felony. Well, I have some problems with that. I don't know if the felony they're talking about is the fighting, because certainly that fighting is not a felony. Let me understand it clearly. They might not know. Listen, young policemen. Listen, if two persons fight, I think it's 139 of the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act, they would have been violated, public fight. Look to see what is the sentence. Some $7,000 and maybe a couple. And my teaching is, I hope I am correct. If I'm wrong, Yako correct me, is that a felony is a serious offense. And not only serious, it must carry imprisonment for 1 year or more. That is a felony. 1 year or more imprisonment becomes serious enough to be classified as a felony. So I don't know if public fighting can be classified as a felony. The persons are going to be charged, I suspect, under the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act, Section 139, right? But I don't know. As I said, felonies are serious offenses, right? Serious offenses which carry imprisonment for a year or more. I don't know if this public fighting under 139 carries imprisonment for a year or more. So I don't know. Well, first of all, I don't know if that is the incitement, if that is what they're saying they were incited. I got to be very careful, because they did not say Normally police language, you say, the person charged for inciting persons to commit felony to wit. I help me out here, Smithy and all. You say inciting persons to commit a felony to wit. And then you're going to go on to explain what the persons were incited to do. Well, you get them police here now, that they're not taught this. I sympathize with many of them, yeah? And that is why we use this platform to educate some of them, those who want to be educated, right? And I don't think that public fighting is a felony. I may be wrong, and I'm going to research it, so when you come next time, I'm going to tell you all something more about it. But I say a felony is a serious offense, like robbery and those things, felony. And the definition is that if the offense carries more than a year imprisonment, then it is classified as a felony. So I don't know if public fighting is a felony. So, but it's good that they charge them for something. I know if they charge them with the expectation that they're gonna walk, because all the parties were represented by attorneys, and I suspect that if the attorneys did not know, then the attorneys will know now. Slow and Cadway tell them it's not a felony, so they're gonna make some representation. Or the alternative to that is that they're gonna run to the DPP. If the DPP wasn't involved before, they might rest that or those charges down sine die, meaning indefinitely, and institute the correct charge. We shining all of them, We shining all of them. So if it is that a charge for felony in relation, inciting felony in relation to the fighting, now that Slow and Conway have spoken about it, they might choose to either withdraw those charges and institute the correct charge, or they just rest it down sine die, and let me see what will happen. Let me see. But they're making a mockery of this thing just because they're charging people with terrorism, willy-nilly. Now they're charging a man who they claim, well, again, I'm assuming. It is not good to assume. God they say when you start ASSUME, you're making an ass out of you or me, right? That's what I say assuming. ASSUME is making an ass out of you or me. Look at the spelling. It's not good to assume. But based on what we learned and based on what we have seen, they said these are the two persons, Daggy and Fata, who organized this fight. So you're charging them now for inciting persons to commit a felony. It is safe to assume that it's in relation to this fight that they organized. And I'm saying that is not a felony. That is not a felony. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, let's hear you on this subject, man. Let me continue to educate these people. Let me hear you.
Yeah, and I, like you, Paul, I was shocked when I hear felony. Kind of felony is a serious offense. And even before that, I'm happy that they instituted charges, although they may get wrong charges. But the thing is that they had enough time to take preventive action. Part of the police thing is a prevention and detection and crime. They had big advertisement, big thing on the social media, and they could have put a stop on it before it started. But fighting, I don't think is a felony. But then, let me read. Remember, you had read the section 139. Let me go over 139. They talk about public fight. Everyone who unlawfully fights with anyone else in or in view or in hearing of any public way or public place shall be liable to a fine. And listen to this, of not less than $7,500 nor more than $15,000 or imprisonment for 4 months, in addition to any other punishment which he may be liable. So talking about imprisonment for 4 months, fine of $7,500, but not more than $15,000. There's a fight. So I don't agree that it was a felony. It can be a felony. Felony is a serious offense, and a public fight could never be a felony. But let's see and hear what will develop after this program.
Yeah, again, Daddy, you're right. See, just read the section, 4 months maximum. And in order for to be a felony, that's a cater for imprisonment for 1 year or more. So we don't know where this, they got people in charge. The man in charge of the CID, Deputy Commissioner Blanham, is a lawyer, He's admitted to practice law in Guyana. admitted to practice law in Guyana and get several other attorneys that has boast. A matter of fact, the president boasted some time ago, or I think even the attorney general boasted, right? They all educated the forces. Some people are liars and all of that. And I was to talk about that because he made a lot of misrepresentation. For the first time, you get these liars and so on. We get liars. I remember the one in my time, and my time started in force in 1973. I remember the man from CID, Henry, I think it was 7032 was his number, who went and graduated in law school. We had white, 8812 white. The old squaddy Henry Green, 9411, Gordon Gillhouse. All of those people went, but nonetheless created the impression that it's only now members of the force are going. Patrice Henry, who's now practicing, right? Dexter Todd. They were all liars, all members of the force who went and studied law. Michael Summersall, right? So I don't know. But so we got to correct the thing, we got to correct the thing. Now, this morning, moving forward, I saw something which caught my attention, and I was puzzled at talking about today's Starbrook News when it says that Edgar Henry tells election fraud trial that he destroyed some of his police diaries. Edgar Henry? I want to know who that person is. I know Edgar Henry Gar. We call him as a BV man. BV man, he's a CPA in New York, very prominent man and so on, very educated. Edgar. But then they corrected it because it's not Edgar Henry they were talking about. When I went back, they're talking about Edgar Thomas. Y'all remember him? Edgar Thomas, he is a special assistant commissioner in charge of the presidential guard. He's a SC assistant commissioner in charge of the presidential guard. He, in 2020, when the government changed, president sworn on the 2nd of August, 2020, y'all remember that, a Sunday? Edgar Thomas was on pre-retirement leave. He had proceeded on leave prior to retirement. He was to retire, I think, from the 1st of November 2020. They call you out. The current government called him out from retirement and made him the head of the presidential guard. Right? Man with no experience in executive protection, nothing at all. He was there as a technical man. Electrical and electronics, that was his field. I don't think he ever charged anybody. He never been to court to give evidence and all them type of thing. So I suspect that he was being rewarded having regards to what transpired immediately after the election, particularly on the 5th of March, I think it was, with the fiasco at the Ashman building there in Atfield Street. Thomas was then the commander of A Division. Don't ask me how he became commander. That is something I was never, ever in agreement with. I was in the police office commissioner at the time, but that is not the business, where people are posted and so on. But I question myself and others, Thomas ain't no experience with the commander A Division, when elections were to be held shortly. That was a mistake from the inception, but that is a commissioner's baby. Leslie James was the commissioner at the time. I understand that if you remember well, he went there and he's sitting big. He didn't know what to do. So the first administration removed him from command and put his 2IC in charge. Right? All right. So now you have the election, what they call the election fraud trial going on, with the charge, the former CEO and all these people with charge, a whole set of people, Vaughan Lawrence and all them in charge. And the real people who were involved in fraud, they get charged. All them people who would destroy all the statutory documents and so on, they may get charged. Right? But Lowenfield and mayors and all these people get charged. So yesterday in the court, the trial has been going on. Thomas was under cross-examination. The defense attorney, including Nigel Hughes, Danny, and these people cross-examining them. And I was shocked. Well, I wasn't shocked. Thomas admitted under cross-examination that he destroyed the diaries he had with the records and so on. He destroyed the diaries. And let me ask again that I don't know when he would have done that, but if you have evidence in there in relation to this matter and you're destroying it, isn't that a criminal offense, perverting the course of justice, destroying evidence? Isn't that part of the thing? I don't know. I'm asking these questions But when Thomas going there, the man is an assistant commissioner, even though he's a special constabulary. He's the most senior man in the special constabulary. He's the head of the presidential guard. He goes into the witness box. And when he is being cross-examined by the defense attorneys, admitted, they put you under a little pressure, he admitted that he destroyed diaries. Destroyed the records of what took place on the day. And one should not be surprised again, because remember they had this bogus commission of inquiry into the same thing. He went there to give evidence to the commission of inquiry and telling the people that how the police went rogue, the ranks of the TSA went rogue, and they do. He was there not doing what he was supposed to do. There was a bomb threat, and the standard procedure when you get a bomb threat is to make sure that the building is evacuated. I care what I say. And let me tell you all further, this is not letting tails out of school. That is why when you have certain activities, you make sure that the building or the venue is swept, security swept and maintained. Cricket, for example, I can tell you, I don't know what happens now, but when I was in charge of security for West Indies cricket, every venue that games were being played had to be swept, security sweep. Look for IEDs, improvised explosive devices, and any threat. And once that is done, then you lock the building down. Nobody can go in unless they're properly checked. In that way, if somebody calls to say that there is a bomb in the place, you can discount it because you have done a proper check and you know that that is not so. It's likely to be an hoax. That is how it is done. But if you uncheck and somebody call, then you can't do anything. But in that case, that I'm referencing to the Ashwin building, no security checks are made. So once a call came in to say that a bomb was in the building, in regards, you have to take care of you have to look at the safety of all of those forces there. And the first thing you got to do is evacuate the building and let the technicians come and let the technicians check. When they check and they satisfy themselves that it is not true, all clear is given, and the people go back into the place. One of the training too, and I'm telling them, one of the teaching, one of the training too, even before you evacuate, tell the people them to take their personal belongings with them. A teaching. Take your personal belongings with you. You know why? Because when the technicians come in, it makes it easier for them. Because if you already left the bag, they left wherever they left in the place there, is all of those things have to be checked to satisfy that that is not some improvised explosive device. But see, again, they're not training these people. The people are not being trained. So we're going to use this platform to educate them. But Thomas got there, and again, I said, Sabructus misled me this morning when they tell me about Edgar Henry. So I said, oh Lord, I read right away because Edgar Henry is my countryman. I got to call it today, and Edgar is my countryman. Lives in the US. But when I started to read the article, because even when they come into the thing, there's the headline, but they got former Region 4 Police Commander Edgar Henry. I said, what? Yesterday, continued his testimony. Well, when I said 2020 election fraud case, then I said, nah, it's a mistake they made. And to be fair to them, when I went back on the site this morning, I think it is corrected to Edgar Thomas. That is what you have. The man tear up his diary with the records inside. And I don't believe he. I believe he lie. And if he lie under oath, and he would have been under oath, there's perjury. Right? That's perjury. Yeah, Ingrid. Well, Ingrid, I taught you all well, I taught you all well with Ingrid is saying that it is still done, the bomb sweeper. Yeah, that is a requirement. You have activity at the Arthur Chung Center and the wherever culture center, dignitaries got to go. That should be a standard practice, especially now. Let me tell them this. Especially now in this election season, you already had, we're going to talk about it just now. People throw improvised explosive devices at the Eastern Outpost. They throw at a GPL facility. It is even more imperative now that when you have these functions where the president and these people are going to go, that you do a proper check, security sweep for improvised explosive devices. Warning. I'm warning you people, right? Because I was in charge of operations. So I know this thing inside out. I wrote orders on this. When I was in the West Indies Cricket Board, I wrote orders, copious orders for every single season. And that's the reason that you want to expend money, but it builds in a safety into it. So that when an Oaks or somebody call and say, hey, bomb, they're in this place, come to the command center. No, that is an Oaks because we checked the place thoroughly before people were allowed to come in, and we have maintained a presence and we have checked everyone who came in, so we know that this is an Oaks. Other than that, you can't say it's an Oaks. You got to evacuate the whole place or risk people being injured and killed. Let me bring in CC. CC, I'm sure you would have read the thing about Tamo telling people that he destroyed diarrhea and all them type of things.
Well, I'm not surprised, Paul. We always say that Thomas is not police. And I get many more Thomases about the place. Now, Thomas is not no police. Thomas is a technician. Very good at that. Repair radio and do a fridge and all. There's the forte. But not the police. And then I know he going to destroy records. And then again, too, I don't know if you're talking to diary, if you're talking to his personal diary. His personal diary is not one of the books in the police record, Police get books in standing order number 33. I think they had 50. They made him get more books. And then I'm talking the books. And then records that he make. I don't see him making it in his personal diary. The official diary, the station diary, the number one book where things are recorded or where your calls to be recorded. Your personal diary, as far as I'm concerned, is just a aid to you where you might have appointments and this kind of thing. But real policing activities, those things should be recorded in your personal diary. And then I suppose he burned it up too after 5 years. After 5 years, he burned. So Thomas, I'm not surprised of the testimony of Thomas. And I get more like Thomas. Because I get another one in Kakali, another one in Barbies. A technician, information technology man, is very good on that. He studied India. I think he went about 6 weeks in India. Information technology, good. Put him in charge of Zaro. Put him in charge of the computer center. Not a commander. Not a commander. And then allegations are that he get a degree. I say allegations that he get a degree from the University of Palmyra. So they got plenty like Thomas about the place there where the government is promoted, where the government is appointed, and they will continue to be incompetent. And I always say, and I always remember George Jackman, when you're incompetent and you try your incompetent best, you are still incompetent. So I'm not surprised at Thomas at all.
Now, you're right. I agree with you. But let me address a comment made by a student here who says, I guess he's referring to the checks and the improvised. He said, even if checks are made, you still have to go through the process again. That is not so, sorry. That is not so. Once you check, I used to be, as I tell you already, I used to be in charge of this thing. I used to be in charge of the VOC, VOC, the Venue Operating Center, right, where all the decisions are made. Once you are satisfied as a VOC commander that a thorough check was made and that the proper security measures were in place to prevent any explosive device or any prohibited item to go into the place, you can make a decision. No, this thing is false, this thing is a hoax, and therefore we are not going to check again. It is up to the discretion of the VOC commander, and that is dependent on the extent of the check that would have been done before. And there's not Guyana. There's all over the place. I travel all over. I go England. I go Australia for Commonwealth Games. I've been India for Commonwealth Games. I go all over. That is the protocol. You check before the people are allowed to come in. And then once you check, then what happens? You are going to make sure that the place is secured. So every single person who goes in there and every vehicle goes through that check. Every vehicle will go through that check. Every individual will go through that check. So that if you get a call, right, then you are in a position to use your discretion as to whether, because the thing might be, they might tell you it's in a particular place, in a particular location. So, and don't test my knowledge with that. Few people can do that. Because as I've said, I wrote the orders, I practice it as a venue operating, at the VOC, venue commander. So that is what it goes. Right? Check. I remember, let me tell you all a story. Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast. I was the Guyana team manager and coach. And as a coach, I used to collect ammunition for the guys to practice. It was Ransford Goodluck, the late, Lennox Braffett. I had a bag, duffel, one of these of a sack type bag. And I collected ammunition for them to practice. And when it was finished, practice done, you're supposed to hand in back wherever ammunition is left. I handed in, but a box of ammunition remained in my bag. When I was going into the village, the alarm went off. Be a bother. People take the ammunition in the bag. The ammunition in the bag. I had to wait there. They got a vehicle to take me back to the range, which was some distance away, to lodge the ammunition and then come back. Check. Every single person is checked before they go in. So they know that the venue itself is safe. And when they talk about check, it's check like if you're going through the airport. Proper, thorough check. No casual thing. Your bags go through the scanner. You got to be wanted and all this. So they are satisfied that people in the venue are safe. Now let me move on from that. And that's just part of the process to educate. The process. And as I said, we know that maybe they do it at some sporting events. It should be done now. It should be intensified now. In this silly season, it should be intensified. Right? All right. So let me move on. The next thing that I want to talk about is that, we reported here, it was reported in the media, I think some time ago there, can't remember the exact date now, that explosive devices were thrown. I said thrown because people say in the plant, whether at East the Rivelt outpost and at some GPL facility. Now, yesterday, HGP Nightly News had a story which says crime sleuths. And it's sleuths, the word is not sluts. There was an announcer some years ago who was reading, there was some murder or something on the Essequibo coast, and people from the CID headquarters went, the sleuths. The man pronounced the thing, the crime sluts. The crime sluts. Well, I guess I got a lot of sluts now. But it says here the crime sleuths are well aware that the explosions on May 17 at the East Rivell Police Outpost and the Guyana Power and Light Substation at Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, were acts of terrorism. Local police are now hunting for 2 illegal immigrants from Venezuela and Brazil, and Brazil national Flavio Tasso, who usually reliable sources have said are responsible for the homemade bomb attack. Law enforcement are convinced that the terrorists have since fled Guyana. A Guyanese man, quote, who played a critical role in the attack, end of quote, has been arrested by police in connection with the probe. It didn't take long before police began using security cameras to track the movements of the terrorists, including when they went shopping for the components of the, quote, homemade bomb. Asked how many more, quote, homemade bombs have been made by the terrorists, the source said, quote, that cannot be ascertained at this time. HGP Nightly News understand that a file in the matter has been prepared for legal advice. The explosion, which occurred minutes apart in the early hours of May 17, has been described as, quote, well-planned, end of quote, coordinated attack on public infrastructure. When this thing happened, we spoke about it, and we said this requires a proper investigation. We made the point they are inclined to talk about intellectual authors and point to people whose views do not necessarily align with the views of the government and people in the PPP. So something happened, they point finger. Recall the breakdown fire we told you? Fire happened, That's intellectual artists from the US. Right? Fire at police headquarters, CID headquarters, Ben say intellectual artists. Always they talk about intellectual artists. And we were saying when these explosions took place that they should make sure a proper investigation is done before they try to point fingers, right? We said so. Now it transpires, they're saying, it's 3 foreigners. 3 foreigners. And let me read this part. We don't normally read from this person because he can't write. Difficult to read. Police outpost bombers are suspected Venezuelan syndicatos. That is one Big Smith News Watch this morning. And it goes on to say, police sources familiar with the ongoing investigation into the terrorist attack on the East Rival Police Outpost on Sunday, May 17, 2025 in Georgetown are suspected members of the Venezuelan Sindicato gang based on their association with a key suspect in the investigation. Today, a Guyanese national, Sion Carmichael, who facilitated the men's operation, will be placed before the courts. He is expected to be charged with 2 counts of terrorism. Carmichael told detectives that he was contacted by his friend Flavio Tasso to transport the men after their arrival in Guyana. Flavio is known to be associated to members of the Venezuelan Sindicato gang. He's associated to members. They first went to Brazil, to a Brazilian hotel in Robb Street, where they checked in. After realizing that the conditions there were not to their liking, they then relocated to another hotel, this time in Stevedore housing scheme. Questioned about his decision to support the men in the terrorist act, Carmichael explained that the men threatened to harm his family if he does not cooperate. This the police are questioning, since based on their intelligence, it is not the first time that he has linked up with Flavio, the Brazilian, and other Venezuelans. Police detectives are of the view that after the attack on May 17 at both the police outposts and the Guyana Power and Light substation in South Georgetown, they made way into the interior. Based on our information, the police are seeking to confirm intelligence that Flavio is wanted in Brazil for murder and that he is also not welcome in Venezuela due to a fallout between him and the syndicatos due to an old misunderstanding. On Tuesday, the Guyana Police Force issued a wanted bulletin. Well, let me show you how the wanted bulletin. Let me show you how the wanted bulletin. This is the wanted bulletin the police issued yesterday. Let me start from the first picture. Look, this is been ordinary, they released from HGP Nightly News named one of the suspects, a Brazilian national, Flavio Tasso. That is what they say. Big Smith News Watch named the same name as one of the suspects. But yesterday, when the police issued the bulletin, look what they issued. Wanted for terrorism committed at the East Rival Police Outpost and Guyana Power and Light substation. No name, no address, no description, nothing. It goes on in the fine print that you may not be able to see. They tell you if you see them, you must call the nearest police station and so on. No name, wanted bulletin. Look, 3 of them. Look at this picture, that thing. I guess this is the best they could have done. Look, this is what they issued. This is what they issued. The wanted bulletin issued yesterday for these 3 men. And again, I say, no name, no address on either of these suspects. Hey, where we going, man? Where we going? Where are we heading? Where are we heading? And the Guyanese that I say is to be charged today. He's named as Carmichael. What the name? Carmichael. Let me find this. Sion. Look, Sion Carmichael. This is what Sion Carmichael, according to Big Smith News Watch, this is what he looks like. I put it up because when you all talk about scrapes, I tell you all scrapes and get nationality, scrape and get ethnicity and all. The scrape is scrape. As Adriana Young aunt told the president that he's a script because he was involved in protests and blocking road and so on. So this is the person, according to what is being published in Big Smith Newswatch, who is a Guyanese who facilitated, who helped these people. And they say he's supposed to be charged with terrorism. I don't know what evidence they get. I'm going to go into that. He should be charged with terrorism. And it comes to the point, when you talk about Brazilian syndicatos in Guyana, this thing has far-reaching consequences. They allow the Venezuelans full access because it is felt that enough of them get ID card. Government no interest in them voting to put them back in office. But here it has been alleged that these men who use these improvised explosive devices are members of the notorious Venezuelan Sindicato gang. So they're not on the border any longer, shooting at our soldiers and terrorizing our miners. They're in Georgetown, the capital. They are in Georgetown, the capital. And, Ben said in Parliament, said Ben Ataba shooting scoot ropes, and Ben, the Minister of Home Affairs, said that there are about 35, I think that's the figure, 35,000. Recently, Robert Passad, who is styled the Foreign Secretary, said that there are about 100,000 Venezuelans in Guyana. And when attorney at law and leader of the AFG quoted him, he came out, tried to abuse Nigeria, and here what the Foreign Secretary said, that his statement, it was just an estimation. That's what you have. He estimating that there are about 100,000 Venezuelans in Guyana. Folks, I told you all before, I'm saying it again, more to come, because I am of the view that given the aggression by Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan president, right? A lot of these people who are being sent across into Guyana are military assets. They are military assets. And then people don't play. Taba Sindicato, those people are vicious. And it is frightening to know, based on their own admission now, that these people are in Georgetown, committing acts of terrorism. I want that sink in, I want that sink in. And before I bring in Mr. Conway, when the incident occurred on the Sunday morning, I have someone who complained to me that his grandson, apparently when they viewed the footage, the grandson drove past at some time. The police swooped down on his home. He said about 20 police and about 3-4 vehicles with dog and all sort of thing, gone into you barging. When he done talk about warrant, he said, no, we need no warrant. This is terrorism we're dealing with it. Barging, tumble up his whole home, terrorize and traumatize the family. Because they said he drove past at the time and he's a suspect. He was one of the suspects in this thing. And it brings me to the point that we have been saying over and over. When any incident occurs, it requires proper preliminary investigation. You can't just run wild. You run in wild, a bomb go across. Yes, it's a serious crime. But don't go pick up people wild. That are the usual suspects. And you don't got to ask when they pick up somebody, some young black boy. And this is not being racist, it's been factual without any proper investigation. And our thing was always, a report is made, you entertain the report, you have got to do some preliminary thing. Take statements, depending on the nature of the report and all that. But they don't do that now. And I saw somewhere somebody said once a report is made, the police have to act. Yeah, you got to act, but what should be the action? Somebody can't come to you and say, John Jones threatened to shoot me, and then you're gone arresting John Jones just like that. You have got to investigate, sit the person down, take a statement, a detailed statement from them as to what the allegation is. Make your records in your occurrence book and so on. And then that gives you the authority to say where you're going to go, put the allegation to John Jones and invite him if you got to arrest him. If you feel that a prima facie or you have enough evidence, you arrest him, yes. But not so the allegation is made. You don't take a statement, none at all, or you're going to say you're arresting people. You're going to say you're arresting people. And then what happens? In the case where they're going to search this man's house and traumatize the family, nobody going to even offer an apology. They would not even say, well, be sorry, we made a mistake, and so on. They're going to double down. That's how they're doubling down now on the Adriana Young's murder. Let me bring in CC to talk about this bomb and this thing. CC, your views on this wanted bulletin and the bombing, and now they're syndicatos are responsible. What are your views, my brother?
Well, the wanting bulletin is really wanting itself because it lacks substance. You don't even see where they use to you get a photograph, where they use to hang out. You don't get no address. You don't get no call name or anything else. And then we gotta be careful with according to the foreign secretary, 100,000 over 100,000 here. Ben said 35 registered, 35,000. So them 35,000 will easily get ID card. And many of them in Western Marara, many of them in region 2, region 1 region 1 has the gold medal. All community share venues and supported by the government. Supported and they're quick for such syndicatos. I doubt syndicatos mightn't be wrong. I doubt that they got a lot of Trojan horses came across here. But they're quick to blame it on syndicatos. They're the shooting of the army people and they are the syndicatos. Blame it on syndicatos. Who says that the Venezuelan military did the shooting? And then we go and ask Venezuela to investigate and bring people to justice. They could investigate themselves, like how the Guyana police force investigating itself. So the thing is that we gotta be careful with these Venezuelans that we got here. We gotta be careful with them. Many of them, as you Paul mentioned, maybe military personnel here. And we accepting them with open arms. Well, we taking the money from the IOM, the International Organization of Migration, and we listen to the IOM and we deal with them and we taking them as brothers and sisters. We got to be careful. You got to be careful, and then with this bombing, I don't know how they come to Venezuela. First they say I'm Spanish speaking people, and then no, they start identifying there's Spanish people, Spanish speaking, and we got to be careful with these venues that we have. 100,000, 35,000 registered. When they register, they don't get ID card. They can get ID card, and they're able to vote. Remember all this election? Remember the last election? They said they win by 14,000 votes. Now we got 100,000 Venezuelans. I'm making the point. And I got 35,000 registered according to Home Affairs. Watch out. Watch out for what is likely to happen, Paul.
Yeah, we gotta watch out. We gotta watch out to see what is likely to happen. Now, before we go into the main issue, yeah, share the live, man. Share the live. Share the live. Before we go into the main issue, we had our independence celebration on Monday, 26th, the 59th anniversary of Guyana being an independent country. And they had an activity the night at Albion. President and all Saturday went up there. It appears, I think Monday morning, the actual day, they had an activity at Parliament Building, the forecourt of Parliament Building, where the Prime Minister, Lion Mark Phillips, and they had some flag raising thing. What I saw there can only be described as disgraceful, right? And maybe I'm being generous by just saying disgraceful. I can't use the adjective which starts with F and end with a lot of other letters. I can't use it, right? The Prime Minister is there for this flag raising, and I want to show you all the thing, and then I'm gonna make me comment. Look, the Prime Minister at the flag raising at the forecourt of Parliament Building on Monday. Look at the man dressed. The man outdoing himself. Can't remember some time ago when he been in Honduras, I think this is how he dressed in Honduras, representing Guyana at an official function. Honored guards are there, and I think this is some high official, maybe even the president of Honduras. That is how he dressed then. But look what now, he come to Parliament building. Look, Parliament building on Monday. This man needs to get some butler or something like that, man. As a matter of fact, get rid of him altogether. You know, butler. This man is a disgrace. And to think that this man was the head of the army. He was the head of Guyana Army. If you don't know that he was the head of the Guyana Army, you're the head of an army, you might say Salvation Army. But then that would be an insult to Salvation Army. This is the Prime Minister at the flag-raising ceremony in the forecourt of Parliament building. Look, the honored guards resplendently turned out. And this is what Mark Phillips looked like. That time when he take for lie, if he take a little time for dress properly, he can be better looking. Even that can be a challenge for him to be better looking. Look, another picture. And when you look at this picture, I want to ask what type of function this was. What is a function where ceremonial dress should be worn? I can't understand what is going on in the standards in the military, police, and army and these places. We have them there. If this is a flag-raising ceremony on the occasion of the 59th anniversary of Guyana's independence, one would expect the guard of honor, police and soldiers are turned out in ceremonial. One would expect the representatives, the army, the police, the fire, the prison analysis should also be in ceremonial uniform. Should be in ceremonial uniform. But you have here, this is the Prime Minister, Mark Phillips. You can't say honorable when you talk to these people because there's nothing honorable about them, right? This is his ADC, I would suspect. This is the senior man representing the army. And I think this is the number 2 dress. Because the number 1, if I remember correctly, ceremonial. Number 2. This is Tribal Union. Deputy Commissioner Watts, the Tribal Union man, working dress. Then you have somebody here, I suspect he's from the prison, ceremonial. Then it looked like the fireman here, working dress. Then I don't know if the city council. What is going on? What is going on? Falling standards. If it is a ceremonial occasion, as it definitely was, because the guards, the people there who form the quarter guard or the half guard, whatever it is, are dressed in the number 1 dress. They are dressed in ceremonial. And therefore, one would expect all of these people here should also be dressed in ceremonial uniform. But we're talking about falling standards. That is an example of falling standards. Normally, this thing of an order would have gone out, indicating as well what the dress should be, what is the number 1, number 2, where we should be. But here it is, as you can see for yourself. And then let me show you the next picture. Look, they're saluting. What's under pressure there? With the guts, that countryman is call them shit guts that you get there. You're under pressure. Can't even salute properly. I see a little boy salute one of them little 6-7-year-old boy on career day, saluting looking far better than Mr. Tribal Union. Tribal Union. That is what you have. And you're talking about falling standard. They take fall from the top. Again, let me show you how the Prime Minister dress. Let me show you. Let me show you the Prime Minister. Look the man dress. Look the man pants. He trying to outdo Ben and outdo your own self. God, this is one. If you got to make sure as a Prime Minister you get proper wardrobe, man. I'm sure you get an allowance so all them type of thing. Dress properly. Or report sick, don't come at all because you're disgracing the country. You can't disgrace yourself because that is beyond you. Disgracing the country because when he went abroad, he did the same thing. Look how he was dressed abroad. Stink, nasty, stink and dirty, liar. That is how we have. I could come after me for talking the truth. Come after me for talking the truth. Let me bring in CC for say. What? See, even recruit turned up like that when you were in training school. What would have been the punishment?
Why? You know, when you think about it, look how the Prime Minister is dressed. Perhaps his wardrobe misfunction, you know, or it misfunction overseas, and in Guyana also. And then look at what's you gotta get guts, you gotta get the guts to become a deputy commissioner of police. But I gotta take some blame. I cannot responsible because I recruited Watts in Borbis, and I was spent for his initial training, And I recall, the you call the trainees in Borbis when you bring them to town. At the last month of the training, we bring them to Georgetown, and they go to the team area for ranges and other areas. And I remember when I brought him down, the squad, Greta McDonald, who was in charge of recruitment in Georgetown. Well, I did my own recruitment in Borbis. I said, Mr. Conway, CC, where you take on this by for? They talking about what's he come here 3 times to me, and I'll 3 times a Tony down. I'll 3 times a Tony down because he too short. So maybe Greta had a lot of things in her mind, maybe he's short of a whole other thing. He's short of a whole lot of things there. But it's disgraceful. This is a function, a flag raising function, and people got to be dressed. I know, some in uniform, some not in uniform, some in ceremonial, some not. You got to standardize it. You got to standardize it. And if you go there and you're working just and then it's ceremonial and they call you, you don't go in there. You don't go in and mix around them. And then even after that too. Remember last year when they had the flag raising at Letem, there was a female sitting among all of them. It just in ceremony. A female was in the front row sitting around her. So it all over the place. Not only the police, all over the place. This thing that they're not standardized, and the standards are really really falling, Paul.
No, the only you talk about the Letem thing. In this recent activity at Albion, someone sent me a picture. I'm trying to find it for the next program, where the Minister of Education, Priya Manik-Chan, is walking into the function, and someone, I don't know if she husband or who, I suspect might be she husband, in uniform, holding Chan. He walking in uniform, holding Priya Manik-Chan and going up. I said, standards really fall. In my days, that could have never happened. And look, let me address one of these. Look what this cockroach is here. They say, look what y'all picking out. How the guy dresses. Can't even talk, can't even write properly. What jokers you all are. Please discuss something of actual political substance, if you all could. Well, what the name? Dupamani or whatever your name. This is important. It is the image of the country. It is a reflection of falling standards to see the Prime Minister dressed in the manner that he's dressed. Look, this man in Honduras representing Guyana. And this is how he dressed in a guard of honor. This is how the Prime Minister dressed. And you think that can be justified? So we talk about the post. Yes, we have to talk about how we dress because you're looking stink and dirty. And it's a bad reflection of Guyana because it's not Mark Phillips representing Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips is there as a representative of all of us of Guyana. Certainly not me. He didn't represent me there. Because them standards that I don't agree to. So, there's your one chose and come. We don't normally respond to them. But yeah, we have got to respond to this one to let them understand. Because he or she don't understand what is standard. Because he's still shitting in bush and think that is all right. Right? So you can come and talk a lot of crap about what we're talking about. Right? Let me move on. Don't let these people distract you. As I told you, we have a lot to talk about this morning. Now, let me come to the main subject. Y'all share the live. Share. Yeah, we get good attendance. But I think we can go up by a few more hundred. Right? Right. Adriana Young. Right? We learned on Monday, I think it was, that our body was flown to the United States of America for a second autopsy. That was Monday. We learned too via social media that our parents had flown to the US as part of that process. Good. Now, yesterday, the police came out with a release to say, it says Statement of the Ghana Police Force on the final post-mortem examination report of Adriana Young. The first thing I want to say is that I don't believe that the release of this statement yesterday, after the body was flown to US on Monday, is a coincidence. I don't believe it's a coincidence. I believe it is in an attempt to downplay or to negatize anything that comes out from that postmortem, which does not accord with the original findings. And I'm going to read it a little bit more to y'all. I'm going to read it a little bit more. Because very early, from the time the talk about the second autopsy was mentioned, the government kicked in. The man who was to come days later from Trinidad, they put up a whole wall in front of him. Even though the man had come here before, got the necessary credentials to perform a postmortem examination, they want to come because the last time or on that occasion when he came, they had a matter on the East Coast where a man claimed that his wife or his girlfriend jumped out of a pickup truck and the vehicle ran over her and killed her. The family did not agree with that. So the family brought in Dr. Daisy from Trinidad. He did a postmortem examination and found that the woman was strangled. She was murdered. The man was charged with murder and sometimes he get off, walk free because we were given evidence and so on. Daisy was to come again, they put up all sorts of roadblocks. Couldn't come. Family said they're going to go abroad. The first attempt to downplay and to say whatever comes out might not be valuable or might not be of any evidential value and so on. Frank Anthony, Minister of Health, came out very early and he said that the body, since the postmortem on the 28th of April, 2025, the same day with all the storm, he said the body was handed over to the family and that the police no longer had control over the body, implying that anything could have happened to the body. Body could have been sabotaged. That is what was implied in that statement. At least that is what I interpret it to be. Then you had Nandlal came out to say that the body, but let me, I don't want to misquote them, Hold on. I got the thing here with Nandlal, what he said. The claim here that he said, Ghana Attorney General, the body of Adriana Young has lost forensic value. He cited experts. And he's quoted there as saying, based on expert advice we have received, the body has no remaining forensic value, Nandlal stated. Quote again, this is not an uncommon conclusion in cases where remains have been compromised by time and conditions. Hear what he says, let me read about, tell you how we just analyze these things. Nandlal said that based on expert advice we have received, the body has no remaining forensic value. Then he goes on to say, this is not an uncommon conclusion in cases where remains have been compromised by time and conditions. You want to tell me this body of Adriana Young was compromised by time and conditions? Then he goes on to say, well, this is what Todd had said. Todd said that the scene was contaminated from the outset, compromising the integrity of the investigation. He further noted that the body was removed without prior forensic procedure, which is a grave oversight. No oversight. There was no oversight. So again, I'm saying that when Nandlal made that statement, that is based on evidence, he got a legal training. He got a legal training. So he said, based on expert advice. Who are the experts who advise you like that? That the body has no forensic value. We who are educated, and even those who are not educated, you will read that hundreds of years after, people finding bodies and mummies and are able to determine all sort of things, how they died, what might have been their diet and all this type of thing. And Nandlal, 1 month after this child is dead, Nandlal is saying that he, based on expert advice they received, that this body has no remaining forensic value. As I'm saying, all of that, the statement by Nandlal, the statement by Frank Anthony, those statements were made in an effort to try to negatize or to discredit whatever findings may may be revealed, which does not accord with the findings of the chief pathologist that they brought in. So he's setting the wicket, as we would say, setting the wicket. Oh, the thing plan. Now make a statement. Imagine that. He said this is not an uncommon conclusion in cases where remains have been compromised by time and conditions. What time is less than a month? What conditions the body would have been at the mortuary? It's not a case where body is exposed to the elements some long time past. This is a body that was put in the storage facility at a morgue within a short space of time. And you have a telling the body compromise, saying all that was done to set the wicket. So here comes now the body flown to the States on Monday, and then the police issued a statement yesterday, as the people say, yesterday night. You know, and let me go back with this statement by Nanlal, the Attorney General, SC, MP, Attorney General Nanlal, that this body would have lost, based on expert advice we have received, the body has no remaining forensic value. But based on expert advice I received, they get many lawyers, I can call him, whose brains have lost legal value. Let me repeat that. Based on the advice I have given, I have received, they get many lawyers, I call him, whose brains have lost legal value. Right? Y'all call him, I gonna whistle. Call him, I gonna whistle. Are they in the mood today, you know? Are they in the mood when you see this BS? I'm gonna deal now with the report what the police gave. See, bear with me a while. Bear. My bump raise. And I have to deal with them with this nonsense what they're talking here. They say here, the statement from the police, statement from the Ghana Police Force on final postmortem examination report on Adriana Young. This was yesterday, May 27. This release was thing. They said pathologist who conducted autopsy finds no sign of foul play in drowning of 11-year-old Adriana Young. Then let me read what they say. The Ghana Police Force wishes to confirm that the death of 11-year-old Adriana Young has been officially ruled as drowning, with no signs of foul play, according to the final postmortem report submitted by the 3 internationally renowned pathologists to investigators. Young's body was discovered on the 24th of April 2025 in the swimming pool of the Doubleday International Hotel. The certified findings from the autopsy confirmed that her death was consistent with drowning, and no evidence of trauma, assault, or any other criminal activity was found. Moreover, the above findings support an earlier report submitted by Mr. Leonard McCushan, retired Royal Canadian Mounted Police investigator, who concluded that there is, quote, no evidence of foul play by persons named or unnamed during the investigation, end of quote. Adriana, female of mixed ancestry, was reportedly last seen by her grandmother at approximately 13:01 hours on the 23rd of April 2023 in the hotel's swimming pool. Her body was found floating in the same pool the following morning. Upon learning of the incident, the Ghana Police Force launched a thorough investigation. The child's family raised several concerns, citing her ability to swim and alleging the possibility of sexual assault, forced drowning elsewhere, and ritualistic activity. Those concerns were taken seriously and fully explored in collaboration with forensic experts. A comprehensive postmortem examination, including toxicology and DNA testing, was carried out. Key findings include no sign of acute injury or trauma were present. Toxicology results show ethanol levels consistent with postmortem decomposition. Sexual assault kit and DNA analysis for potential suspects were negative. Skin and airway changes were in line with prolonged submersion submersion and drowning. There was no evidence of restraint, struggle, removal, and return of the body. The pathologist concluded that Adriana Young likely sank to the bottom of the pool and later surfaced due to natural decomposition process common in tropical climates. The detectives are currently preparing the investigative case file for submission to the Director of Public Prosecutions for our perusal and legal opinion. Then they come with this hypocritical last paragraph here. The Guyana Police Force extends heartfelt condolences to the young family. That's what they say, young. To the young family, and remains committed to transparency and justice. Now let me say this. You got the Speaker of the House, right? Nadir, Mansour Nadir, ban the use of the word corruption in Parliament. We should all insist that the police should ban the use of the word transparency in giving these statements. There's nothing transparent about what the police force is doing now. Nothing transparent. From the squatter, not a single interaction with the Linden killing, this girl killing, not a single interaction. When the media people brackle the crime chief outside the activity at the Artachon Convention Center, he take a scandal a bunt. Nothing is transparent about them. Now they come with this BS thing, but the people say, let me bring in Mr. Conway before me analyze it further. I want dominate this button too much. I mean the bowling soft and sweet. And when the bowling soft and sweet, you want to stand up and put lash in it. But let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to come back. This is going to take us the remainder of the morning, I'm sure. CC, so far what I've read and what you understand, let me hear what your views are, my brother.
First, let me start with Nanlal. He has developed, or he has mastered, the proclivity of hasty generalization. We expect an attorney general would be specific. And the nonsense where he's saying that he didn't get no forensic value, where we get it from? Let him quote his source. Let him quote his source. We know bodies years afterward we find forensic evidence. Years afterward. So, and is a attempt, because it's an attempt to cover up. An attempt that if an attempt to really cover up all, an attempt to cover up. And I don't agree with Nandalal that it has no value. No way at all. And he must quote his source. Just like how Dr. Thad quoting his source, just like how Dr. Thad had some experts giving us expert forensic evidence. That's what I'm saying. You must quote them and let us know exactly where you get that information from. You can't go and make wild statement, and you can't make no point of hasty generalization all the time. But more on the the police report. Report. You take the lead on the police report there, and I follow.
All right, good. Yeah. Rhonda said use a lot of big words, tells you about hasty generalizations and all them type of things. So I know you get distracted a little while. These students are ordinary. But let me continue. I'll make some note. I am saying, Paul Esmond Slow, I'm saying that this is the biggest cover-up in the recent history of the Guyana Police Force, or in Guyana, or anywhere in the Commonwealth Caribbean that we know of. This is a cover-up from the get-go. And we're going to walk through the evidence. We are trained to do that. Let's walk through the evidence. This girl, and they were very specific. This girl turned up with her grandmother at this double-day pool on the 23rd of April. They say around 1 o'clock to swim, family outing. Right? The grandmother said she gave her money to go and buy a band. You got to buy an armband to be able to use the pool. When her body was fished out on the morning of the 24th, if I remember correctly, is which hand? I think the left hand still had the armband on it. Evidence that the grandmother was accurate in terms of that. This body, the thing there. Now let me show you this picture. This is a picture that was taken with the arrow pointing to Adriana and others in the pool. On this picture, the time stamp on this picture is 1:29. 1:29 p.m. on the 23rd of April, 2025. They're down there. Now, they say that when they went there, that's what the police saying, and Blanham said that they confirmed that the CCTV cameras at the hotel, imagine hotel CCTV were not working. I am still asking, what is the source of this picture? Because this could not have been some phone taking this picture. This would appear as though this picture was taken by some CCTV camera. Look, 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 you get all the roof, you get piece of this blue thing, you see there? Is the sky above the hotel. Wide angle, very, very wide angle. At 1:29, this child is in the pool. Shortly after the child went missing, they said about 1:30, something, when you show this timestamp again, around 1:33, the child was no longer in the pool, right? This is the child there in the pool at 1:29. Then you had somebody lurking. Somebody there, look, this is Adriana here, and somebody who look standing up there, looking, get a camera, taking up video, I suspect, of the people who were there. Significantly, adults are in sight, are in view, are in sight of these children swimming in the pool. Adult can see. Now you want to tell me that this child drowned in this pool around the same time, and none of these children were there with she and raised an alarm and see she drowned in? None of these adults did not see this child in trouble? None of them see that, right? A drunken person that we that's allowed help when they find themselves in trouble. So this girl who is drunken there did not call out for help and so on. Did not call out for help that the drunken are in some difficulty. They did not see her flailing and so on to go. Yeah. So all right. So we walking this thing through. So y'all could understand. I want you to be the judge in this thing. So they claim she drowned. When did she drown? It could not have been at that time in the pool. People were around. She had other people swimming with her. So how she could drown without not raising an alarm, without these people and see she in trouble? And then hear what these people who they claim to be experts said. Hear what they said. And I can't blame the pathologist because I don't know that the pathologist actually said so. The police are known to manufacture these things, this current force in particular. So when they said the pathologists conclude that Adriana Young drowned, likely sank to the bottom of the pool and later surfaced due to natural decomposition processes common in tropical climates. So natural decomposition processes in common in other climates as well. I can't imagine that professional people wrote this. Because they're saying, let me read it back. The pathologists concluded Adriana Young drowned, likely sank to the bottom of the pool, and later surfaced due to natural decomposition process common in tropical countries. But let me say this too. Let me say this. They said she drowned, sank to the bottom of the pool. Right? Like the experts have said, not Slow, not Connery. They had some real experts who said that yes, when a person drowns, they're going to sink to the bottom. And they explain all the technical details. They say it takes about 3 days. 3 days. They explain what happens and so on. And then gases are formed. Gases makes the body buoyant. And then the body floats up in an horizontal position about 3 days after. The people went on so far to say that given the position of Adriana's body in a semi-vertical position, right? If it is that she did in fact drown and raise up, that would be historical. None of them journals and so on never encountered such a phenomenon. Never, ever. And then here the kicker. So the people searched this pool. That is what they're claiming. The reports are clear that when this girl went missing, the area was searched, including the pool, and she was not there. They searched and she was not there. And then what happened on the night of the 23rd? The night of the 23rd, look what happened. Look at it.
And as you can see, you see the pool here clear. Like when the family said they went in the pool and checked, Everybody went in the pool and checked. Normally, you ain't got to check if there's a body in this pool. You could see it because the pool is clear. Right? So, obviously the young lady, the 11-year-old who has gone missing from this place is not in this pool.
Let me play that back for emphasis. And there is critic, Guyanese critic, Michael Rodriguez, Guyanese critic. Went there the night of the 23rd of April, and this is what he reported.
And as you can see, you see the pool here, clear. Like when the family said they went in the pool and checked, everybody went in the pool and checked. Normally, you ain't got to check if there's a body in this pool. You could see it because the pool is clear. Right? So, obviously the young lady, the 11-year-old who has gone missing from this place is not in this pool.
I agree with that. Now I thought I would have agreed with things that critics say, talk too much of nonsense. But I agree, the evidence is there. I recall being in a program not some weeks ago, but 2 weeks ago, and a prominent senior counsel was on the program as well. And he was saying that, look, this video was a little, the pool was a little hazy, and therefore a body could have been at the bottom and did not see. But it's just clear because it's now only critic. The next morning, the people said they went again and they checked, and this girl was not there. So by now, we all have to be convinced that at the time when these checks were made on the 23rd and early in the morning of the 24th, this girl was not in the pool. And then she suddenly appeared. Now, if she was not in the pool when all of these checks, including the check by critic the night, was made, and she done appeared as she did around 9:30 or something like that, the morning of the 24th. Where did she come from? That is why I say it's murder. Where did she come from? It is clear from the evidence, not worry what McCushion and all these people said. It is clear from the evidence we are all seeing that she did not drown in the pool. And if the cause of death is in fact drowning, then she drowned someplace else and put into the pool. The experts also said, and I say experts who had that program 2 Fridays ago with Dr. Todd and others, they must say that the body, when a person drowns, the body has to bloat before it floats. I remember that very, very well. He explained on all the technical things. The body has to bloat, and then when the body bloat, he said gases are formed, and it's the gases that makes the body buoyant, and the body pops up to the top of the water. It has to bloat before it floats. This body wasn't bloated. We all saw the picture. Body unbloated. We saw the picture. So how do you explain this for them to come to tell us now, wait, we that stupid? I mean, Jack Dio made a statement a couple of weeks ago that Guyana got some real stupid people. Why did not say he's a lead? He leads among the lot. But we can't be that stupid to believe this nonsense what they're telling us. We can't be that stupid to believe that this girl went to the bottom of this pool and all these searches and so on were able to find her. Then she suddenly float up within 24 hours of drowning. The scientists are saying that that is not possible. The experts are saying it is not possible for someone to drown and to float within 24 hours. That's what they say. That is what they have said. Many, not one, many have said so. And from our own experience, we know as police, both think somewhere somebody drowned, suspected to have drowned. You have to wait till 3 days, you're going to cover till the 3rd day, then you just find them float up. Because that is the science. That is the science. But they want to tell us that this girl drowned in this pool on the 23rd, sometime around, got to be between 1:29 and whenever, right? She drowned. She sank to the bottom of this pool, and then the next morning, she sank and became invisible. So all the searches and so on, including search by critic, they couldn't find her. And then within 24 hours, the morning of the 24th, she floated up, defying all science, That is what they want us to believe. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. We get more for talk, as I tell you, it's going to take the remainder of the morning, but I got to change over the button now and again, get CC some strength. Yeah, CC, let me hear you on this, man.
Yeah, let me stay on the drum then, because you know, the people talk about dry drowning and wet drowning. Dry and wet. First time I heard that term. I agree well with the cause of that is by drowning, but she did drown in the pool. She didn't drown in that pool. And we had a classic example. Remember, shortly after they had drowning at Linden, where a man drowned at Linden and his body was there at the bottom of the pool. We saw the evidence. We saw this body there lying at the bottom of the pool. Critic went there, you think critic can't discover, can't see a body of a 14-year-old at the bottom of the pool? All the family said the sergeant can't find a 14-year-old body down there. I want to find the body. A rigor mortis didn't step in. It's like algo mortis where the body was cooling off. And they get plenty mortis. They get rigor mortis. They get liver mortis. And all kind of thing. But the thing is that she didn't die in the pool. She didn't die in the pool. She died elsewhere and was thrown in the pool. If you see how the body was kind of floating in the pool there. And as the experts say, you gotta bloat before you float.
Yeah, that is what the experts say. The body got to bloat before it float. And we have a student who's saying here, what he says, the light one. Let me put it up. He said that we cannot keep going back to what was already proven false. Well, I don't agree with you. We got to keep talking about it. We got to keep talking about proven false by whom? The people coming out with an official report to tell me that it isn't what we know to be true is false. They are saying the truth is false, and you want us to dust it off? Let me say no way. We are gonna stop. We're gonna keep talking about it. We're gonna keep it in the front burner. We're gonna keep it on the front burner. So, and we're gonna keep talking about it. Whether you like it or not, we're gonna keep talking about it. And remember, even though we like people come on the show and we encourage you to come, if you believe that we're being too repetitive and so on, you have a choice. Exactly, they're lying, and that is why we have to continue to point out that they're lying. What they are telling us flies in the face of the evidence. And we have got to come and point out these things in detail. We have got to point out these things in detail, that they are lying. And my thing is that you can't just come and say they lie. We have got to point out the inconsistencies and what the lies are. And that is what we're doing. So yeah, we got to come and talk about it over and over so that people could understand that they are lying. And then we are saying, and this is something I must always remember, we get new people coming on all the time, on this program. We can assume that everyone who is on this program now, a couple thousand students a year, they would have all heard this before. So we got to repeat some things. That is how we teach. We got to repeat some things, right? So they're coming with all these lies. Let me go on further to tell you. They weren't telling us they're coming to do this part, this big lie. Now what happened to the other lies? About this girl being seen in a car heading in an eastern direction towards Reading. What about that? What about that? They told us then that they get wrong information from the operations room and 2 persons were dismissed. Who are the persons who were dismissed? They can't tell you that. This generalization, you see, that is what we got to point out. We got to point out. These generalizations, 2 ranks are dismissed. That's what I said. 2 ranks are dismissed, and you ain't nothing further. These ranks like the terrorists who are wanted, they ain't a name. They have no name. And so therefore, how can you believe them? What happened to Mandal, the assistant commissioner? They say, well, he got on administrative leave. So I suspect now, or are we to believe now that the thing say no foul play, he can resume duty now? Is that what we should expect? The country should expect that now? that now that the people said no foul play, suspected. So Mandal, who was transferred first to East Bank, then public pressure, sent an administrative leave. So are we to sit back and accept that he's gonna now walk back into the force to continue with his incompetence? What about the man who was arrested on the morning of the 24th, the car man? Who they arrested? Because, as they say first, he said they told him that he was involved in an accident where he struck down some child, referring to the same child, on the east bank of Essequibo. And then later on, they came and said, no, we arrested him for abduction. When he was arrested for abduction. And he spent the entire day in the Lagrange police station, the whole day. What about him? I know he sued the state, which he should have, which he rightly did. But what about that story? I am of the view, and many people share the same view, that it was all part of the plan set up. And he lucky that the girl's father, Adriana Young's father, and all those other people remained there, because it would appear as the plan was to get that body out of the premises there and then to put it somewhere. And then the same man would get trouble for either abduction and murder or something like that. So again, I say he's a very lucky man. What happened to all of that? What happened to the fire? They said it was arson. Travis said it was arson. We all know that. Who are the ones responsible for starting the fire? We know it's not people who are the protesters. We know the evidence again is there. That is not them. It's not them when you look at the people who were up on the veranda and coming in and out of the room shortly before that fire started. We know that it is not the protesters. So what happened? All them things are left just so. Because some pathologists come and tell me a whole set of nonsense, say it flies in the face of what we all saw, all because they're going to tell you that they were renowned pathologists, so you must just run with that. Now, let me tell you this. In my training and my view, one of the most crucial part of that whole investigation was the time of death. What time did that girl die? We saw that at 1:29, she was still in the pool. And she died sometime shortly after. What time did she die? And the same renowned pathologists they're talking about say that they couldn't come to the time of death because of the state of decomposition. And mind you, this body was recovered on the morning of the 24th, and they were performing this postmortem examination on the morning or the afternoon of the 28th of April, just about 4 days. And they're telling us that in that 4 days' time, this body was so decomposed that they could not ascertain the time of death. Bullshit. And then later on, the attorney who represented the family, attorney at law, Dr. Dexter, said he saw the body and the body was not decomposed. So, lies again. Lies again. So how can we believe whatever these people say? How can we? How can we believe what they are telling us? For you to tell me that, look, this body was in such a state of decomposition that they couldn't tell the time of death, which was crucial. Because if you're saying that the child drunk, the child was seen at 1:29, right? You ought to have been able to tell us what time the child died, and a lot of these great areas would have been cleared up. But no, it's part of the BS. So we can't tell you the time of death because the body was in such a state of decomposition. 4 days after, a body that is not left exposed to the elements, a body that is in a morgue, deteriorate to such an extent that you can't determine the time of death. And we are to believe that. Comrade, we're going to analyze this thing. You got to understand what really transpired here now. You got to understand that is what they said. Again, I say, a very crucial part of the evidence is that. Very crucial part of the evidence. Time of death. Somewhere, not like what the product of the traumatized sperm said, is sometime between when the girl went into the pool or when the grandmother, we said they're drinking something and then some strippiness, that product of the traumatized sperm who's alleged to have kicked his mother down a flight of stairs. We wanted to know Up to now, with this here now, they come up with this BS report and then telling us what time of death either. Why are they avoiding that? Why are they avoiding the approximate time of death? A crucial piece of evidence in this matter. No, they aren't telling you that. Then they say they had sexual assault kit and DNA analysis for potential suspects. Here is BS. The sexual assault kit and DNA analysis for potential suspects were negative. What's potential suspects? We learned from their report is only the owner of the place they took DNA sample from. So one is suspects. One can be referred to as suspects. I am in the school at that place. If you talk about potential suspects, how can you take DNA from one person and then say it rule out other suspects? Did you take DNA from those people? And the question that was always asked, if you can take DNA, they said they took DNA sample from the victim, the dead person. For what? What was the purpose of that? I still ask. What was the purpose of that? To identify her? Couldn't be. We all know who she was. You say you take sample from the owner of the place. What was the purpose of that? What was the purpose of taking DNA sample from the owner? Right? Then they go on to say skin and airway changes were in line with prolonged submersion and drowning. Prolonged submersion? Another bullshit statement. Prolonged. What is prolonged? What is prolonged? 3-4 days, 1 day? This is less than 1 day. So you want to suggest to us that the changes in the skin were consistent with the person being submerged for less than a day? Huh? Look, I tell you, yes, Maureen, let her keep making statements, and we're going to keep analyzing it and thing. And then they say, as I said, there was no evidence of restraint, struggle, removal, and return to the body. What evidence they look for? What evidence? We saw what we saw. We saw that the body was not there. So the only logical conclusion we can come to is that the body was placed there. Because again, critic been there the night and the body wasn't there. The father and everybody searched, the body wasn't there. And the body suddenly appeared there on the morning of the 24th. So obviously, it was placed there. So for them to come to tell us that the no evidence that the body was removed and returned and all, it's the craziness, madness, lies, and more lies. And then they say, hey, let me go before bringing CC. I'll tell her, look, we got to analyze this thing. Let her continue to make statements, man. Our job is to analyze these statements, read between the lines, and come and give you it raw. In the raw, we can give, we can give it raw. Right? Hear what I said. Moreover, the above findings support an earlier report submitted by Mr. Leonard McCussion, retired Royal Canadian Mounted Police investigator, who concluded that there was, quote, no evidence of foul play by persons named or unnamed during the investigation. This man is, hey, I forgive me for laughing. They are telling us that they're getting the final report yesterday, the 27th. This man submits some report that beat out since last week, and he can say no evidence of foul play by persons named or unnamed during the investigation. How we came to that conclusion? Folks, I mean, this thing is serious. We have a laugh because these people telling jokes, you know. Leonard McCussion, the retired Canadian Mounted Police, they said some big-time investigator, right? Who they hire. Nonetheless, he was recommended by some Caribbean agency, and the man did several investigations within the Caribbean, generalizations. He can't name to say which agency recommended him to the government. He can't tell us what are the investigations in the Caribbean this man did, generalized, cock. He tried for cock we, but be more sensible than that. And you never know size cock for deal with me. Let me understand this. You forget, I don't want to be vulgar, but I'm going to tell you a little real. He tried for cockery, and he ain't ready yet. So he said, oh, this man was recommended to us by some agency in the Caribbean. And he has done several investigations for them. Name the agency, name the investigation. Let me see the man track record. We can't get the man track record. But this is a man who came and made a statement that he saw all relevant documents, videos, and photographs. He said so. He saw all. And I tell her, if I tell the man, say, he said all, this man is a charlatan. This man would have bring from Canada is a charlatan. It is alleged that he got $50,000. Easy money. He come and then he can tell us now. Because remember, when he had the interaction with Mr. Todd, Dr. Todd on a Thursday, he said that he was surprised that the statement was not taken from the father as yet. And notwithstanding that, he said that he had seen all relevant documents. Right? And then he tells us now, they are telling us, let me understand this thing clearly now. They are telling us, because we can't say the man says so. We didn't even know what the man looked like. The man never spoke to any media. The man never even come to things. So they are telling us that the man said, no evidence of foul play by persons named or unnamed during the investigation. That's what Leonard McCussion is reported to have said. And this statement is made before the final PM report was, the police said they get it fine. So on what basis can Leonard McCussion make such a statement? What basis can he make such a statement? Man, come and get easy $50,000, stay at wherever hotel, Marriott, or wherever he say, all expenses paid for the period of time. Come, write some BS report and beat out. Easy money. Easy money, the man gone. The man gone. And it's we money, taxpayers' money, the man gone with. So they're thieving with money, eh? And then they're bringing people to thief the money as well. They're not ordinary. They ain't ordinary. Let me bring you Mr. Conway, man. Again, Baton Street. See, this man said that no evidence of foul play by persons named or unnamed during the investigation. On what basis he could have come to such a conclusion?
I wonder who are the named persons and who are the unnamed persons. You know, and then when you look at it, they're talking about potential suspects. I know suspects are suspects, but you're talking about potential suspects. And then initially they said that the DNA was for one person, one suspect. And now you're in potential. This is what I wonder how this word potential comes in there. Huh? How we come into place? And then getting back to that original story where they said that Mandel tell them that report from the command center that the girl joined a vehicle and gone from the place. And then you hear now that it was a different date, type in a wrong date. Well, give us the wrong date information. And let us see the wrong date file. Let us see the wrong date file showing that she gone. And who is the civilian? What happened to the civilian? And there were no checks and balances going on by the place. And then, you know, when you heard the crime chief after the Brooklyn, 2 weeks afterward, Paul, that photograph that they show with the persons in the pool there. 2 weeks afterward, the crime chief say that they were interviewing some of those persons. The two persons were in a set there. 2 weeks afterward, when it should have been fresh in their memory. 2 weeks afterward. You know, it's so much a cover up. So much a cover up that I will restrict. No, there's no restriction, no struggle, no removal or return of body. What's that? What was that? You know, so much of things that went on there that went wrong. You know that it is ridiculous. Who check to see whether the cameras were working? I understand some police named Harris collected his stuff and gave it to that guy, I can't remember his name right on, who was seen with his feet wet, his clothes wet up to the knee. With his clothes wet up, did they interview him? And this retired sergeant that came to Guyana, apparently they're now admitting that he has gone, that he submitted a report and he gone. When a long time ago it was reported that he left, but now we're hearing he submitted a report and he has gone his way. And how much I pay him? Bernard Carrick was 8 million. I'm sure he must be more than 8 million. And then Paul, you said some judge said he was a desk officer or a desk police working desk. He didn't know kind of investigative work. Yeah. You know, we need to stay with the sea. And it mustn't go away. And we mustn't allow them to cover up and cover up and cover all the time, Paul.
They can try, but they're not going to succeed. They can try, but they're not going to succeed. Right? Because we're going to... I never remind you what the president said, you know. President said in relation to this matter. I've asked the Commissioner of Police to assemble a special team to lead the investigation into the circumstances surrounding 11-year-old Adriana Young. We must uncover the full truth of everything that transpired, and no resource or effort will be spared in doing so. Whatever specialized resources are required to determine every aspect of the events and circumstances will be provided. Additionally, I have asked that the police explain in detail every action taken since the matter was reported. Have they done so, Mr. President? Have they explained in detail? I have asked that the police explain in detail every action taken since the matter was reported. Have they done so more than 1 month after? All of them is just lies. All of them are lies. As somebody pointed out here, up to now, they have not indicated who is the lead investigator. My information is that one of the same man who in charge of CID and Region 3 during this whole incident, and who would have neglected, or perhaps even worse, he is one of the investigators. How can that be? All of them should be, all the police and West Demerara who had anything to do with this matter, including the commander, the divisional detective officer, they all should be investigated. But they're not telling us who's the lead investigator. And that, and you talk, they're saying people tell you about transparency. They are telling us about transparency, and up to now they can't say John Jones or whoever. And they have a reason why. Because they suspect it's going to be an outcry when they tell people who the investigator, the lead investigator is, and who the other investigators are. Because it's a small society, everybody know them. And most likely, more than likely, you're going to hear, they say, oh, these people connected with the same people who are involved. And all you're going to hear, so they're either. Then I want you to know who the investigators are. They don't want that to be known. They don't want that to be known. Now, I have, I hadn't played this tape, and I think I should play it now as we're trying to wind up. This matter is not going to done, right? This matter is not going to finish. Let me understand it clearly. I got to play, somebody reminded me that for the longest while, we have not played the tape about corruption. And let me play it now, then I'm going to bring in Mr. Conway for his closing, and then we're going to tell you what will happen down the road. Here we go.
Corruption is a vile disease that sucks and drains the health out of something good. Corruption in society is an evil moral infection that keeps community in a state of perpetual sickness. Corruption is a moral virus. It's so potent it leaves its host sick, lethargic, and unable to realize and accomplish all that a well person can. Where corruption thrives, poverty and not prosperity thrives. Wealth is grabbed into the greedy, grubby hands of those who get fat on the toil and labor of good people. Corruption benefits, only temporarily, those who participate in it. Everyone else is a victim of the theft, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the lies that corruption feeds on. You need to know that a corrupt person is stealing from you. Corruption is filthy work and despicable acts of treachery done under the table and behind closed doors. Corruption is a disgusting shame. Corruption keeps a nation back from true development and from progress. Wise investors steer clear of a corrupt environment. They would rather put their resources into a place where the playing field of opportunity is equal for all and not bent towards feeding the financial lust of corrupt, lying, cheating, thieving politicians and government officials. How many wonderful development projects have been lost because the investors didn't want to do business in a swamp of evil? When those great projects go to another nation or to some other place, we all lose. Believe me when I tell you that corruption steals from you, it steals from all of us. Corruption plunders the nation's wealth. Corruption people compromise on truth, equity, and fairness, choosing instead to feed off the short-term benefits of crookedness, exploitation, and financial perversion. Corruption is not just a personal matter. It's a culture. It's a way of life, not just for individual people, but for companies, communities, governments, and nations. Corrupt nations, hiding behind large companies, will seek to invest in other weak nations in order to take over the assets of the nation that they've invested into. They will provide financial loans to a nation for the much needed infrastructure, and they will do it with assets that they provide. They will sign contracts by lining the pockets of rotten government officials who participate in this kind of corruption and are then held hostage by their own deceit and greed. Corruption is nothing less than a form of theft and national robbery. A corrupt person steals from everyone in society. We all lose when corruption is rampant. Those who participate in corruption have chosen evil over good, lies over truth, and personal gain over well-being of all. To be corrupt means to be rotten. When meat is corrupt, it's rotten, and it stinks. Rotten meat can't be eaten. When a person is corrupt, he's rotten and unfit for a place in the community. A corrupt person should be jailed in order to protect society from the vile deeds of the corrupt person. Government should be protecting us from the foul results of corruption instead of being the proponents and participants in corruption. When corruption is systemic, when it's a culture and a way of life, when corruption thrives, it destroys the health of the community and nation. Now let me tell you something. Defeating corruption is a very difficult thing. The love of money is the root of all evil, the Bible says. People who love money will do almost anything to get it. Those who choose to stand up against corruption, you need to know that we're going to be involved in a war. We will be threatened, vilified, intimidated, marginalized, and ridiculed. These kind of people who stand up against corruption will often feel alone, as if they are the problem instead of the solution. Corruption can only be defeated when enough people have had enough and decide to do something about it.
Yeah, that is what corruption is. And you tell me about whether it is corruption or not. An update, before I bring in Mr. Conway, is an update I just got in relation to the terrorist bombing of the police station outpost, the police outpost and the GPL facility. It has been reported about 2 hours ago that Sean Carmichael, the same person I told you all about, is charged. He's a minibus driver, was denied bail and remanded to prison on Wednesday morning after being charged with facilitating 2 acts of terrorism. The charges relate to the recent explosion at the East Riverdale Police Outpost and the Guyana Power and Light GPL substation in Georgetown earlier this month. Carmichael is represented by attorney at law Everton Lamy, who informed the court that while his client does not deny involvement, he acted under duress after Venezuelan nationals threatened to kill his wife and children. One of the alleged perpetrators is reportedly married to Carmichael's cousin. Further details will follow. So, student, there is just an update. The man charged, the Guyanese man, I don't have the picture now, I showed it earlier, Sean Carmichael is charged with acts of terrorism And with what he said, the charge is supporting act of terrorism, and he's remanded to prison. You know, again, man charged with supporting act of terrorism remanded, and clear evidence they blow up, explode some device by the rival outpost, and the guy in the power line. Clearly acts of terrorism, I would think. So how do you compare that with some men lighting fire on the road and showing are those things equivalent? So for those people to be charged with acts of terrorism, for that young lady, the nurse, to be charged with inciting terrorism, we have lost it somewhere, you know. We have lost it. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for his closing, and then we're going to talk as we about what next. CC, go ahead with your closing, my brother.
Okay. Another plea for the interdicted ranks. Several ranks were interdicted, and they won the case. At least two I know about at TSU. One 12 years interdicted, one 11 years interdicted. I know you're supposed to get back your half pay and whatever, raise a salary that you were entitled to during that time. And what they're doing, I think a sergeant at the police finance office who had to prepare the spreadsheet. And he just give them the basic salary from the time when they were interdicted. All the allowances and all the raise of salary that they had. He didn't get it. Understand? He said that the police force got to answer to the Ministry of Affairs and the Ministry of Finance why the matters took so long. And then you may look at it, is there no checks or violence or check or no checks or balances? The police finance officer can't see that this thing is wrong. He's zero stop. He just sign anything just like that. And also the accounting officer of the Ghana Police Force, the PS Home Affairs, they see that this thing is wrong. And then somebody at the Ministry of Finance can't pick it up. It's just like when Brutus is doing his stuff and nobody is picking up, no checks on violence, no checks and balances. I don't know why I say well, no checks and balances taking place, and persons are being deprived of what they're entitled for. If you get interdicted and you win your case, you got to get back all your half pay and all the raises that there. But no, they're just saying, hey, they got to answer questions to the ministry why the cases take so long. And then in our days, you know, we used to do monthly meetings, interdicted ranks. Perhaps that isn't being held anymore. But saying they need to ensure that the ranks who were interdicted and won the case get back what is due to them.
Yeah, they need that. They're entitled to that. That is when you're interdicted, you're placed on half pay pending the outcome of the charge, which means that if you're successful, then you pay all that is due to you. But you know what has happened now is a lot of madness. Now, folks, a little therapy before we go. We're over time, but let me go. Can't deny you it.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims.
Yeah, relationship. First time I hear the word relationship. So we can continue to play. And let people see what we have for leaders, right? Let me see what we have for leaders. Folks, as we leave, there are so many other things that we should have, well, not should have, but we have to touch on. You know, the declaration by Azzedine Mohammed that he's going to run for office, getting them shit in buckets. And, you know, as we had said before, they're going to do all things to get him out of the race. They're going to do all things. I understand that he's scheduled to appear in court tomorrow, the 30th, at the Georgetown Magistrate Court on some charge relating to evasion of tax or something like that. I'm not sure what it is tomorrow. And I suspect they're going to find all sorts of charges to give. And the matter tomorrow, you understand, is the same matter that is engaging the attention of the High Court. Same matter, engaging the attention of the High Court, and they're charging me criminally for it. He should go to court tomorrow. So let's see what is going to happen. We have so many other things to talk about. But, you know, Jagio talk about who shit in buckets. They're shitting, well, they're Friday the 30th, sorry. Thank you, student. He's supposed to go on the 30th, not tomorrow. Not tomorrow. My apologies. He's supposed to appear on the 30th. I was saying tomorrow, but that's on the 30th, right? He is supposed to appear in the Georgia Magistrate Court, charged with some custom matter. And I understand the elements of the matter are the same things that are engaging the attention of the High Court. That is what we have. So Guyana is not a real place. Guyana, and I want to show you this before I leave. 2 quotes. This one in relation to all them who covering up this murder, and I continue to call it murder. So karma has no deadline. You will be dealt with when the time is right. Want to remind them about that. Karma has no deadline. Karma has no deadline. And all them who get children, if you ain't get children, because the vice president now told us some months ago he get 2 daughters, karma is a bitch. Karma gonna catch up with y'all. Karma gonna catch up with y'all. Folks, we have had a long morning. Record attendance in classroom, in the schoolyard. Today is Wednesday the 28th. You know, we have been coming on Fridays. And I want to say to you again that because of the many issues that we have left back, we haven't talked about the elections. We haven't talked about the press conference the members of the election commission had, the opposition members had yesterday, where they pointed out all the problems that they have there. And most importantly, it is said that the president indicated that elections are to be held on the 1st of September. And I said to you, and I'm saying it again, that until such time that the election proclamation is made, y'all don't run with us. As we know these people like that, so don't book your flights and smile yet. I know enough of you want to go home to Guyana to vote and all. Don't book yet, because until such time that the election proclamation is made to dissolve Parliament and to set a date, it is not concrete. It is not written in stone. So be extremely, extremely careful with that. When the proclamation, and let me put it this way, the Constitution, as I understand it, says that you have to give 3 months before you hold. It's basically just snap election. So 3 months you have to give. If the president announced that elections are going to be held on the 1st of September, it means by the 1st of June, no later than the 1st of June this year, which is the next couple of days, I think Sunday is the 1st of June, he has to make the proclamation and dissolve Parliament. So be on the look, be on the alert. So don't jump wild. People have said, the president says, I told you all, no stone, no resource, and effort will be spared in this Adriana Young thing. What has he done? Little or nothing. So don't fall for them BS. Don't fall for them salawala. You understand? When the proclamation is made, then I suspect that that is it. So folks, again, let's leave you now. And God's Spare Life, we're going to come Friday afternoon, as we have been doing for the past 3 or 4 weeks. Friday afternoon, because we have a lot of stuff to tell you, and we don't think it can wait until Monday. Normally, we usually deal with Monday and Wednesdays. We put in Friday now. Friday is not permanent. Once we have information, we're going to come and we're going to bring it to you. So if God Spare Life, Friday afternoon, we are going to be here 4 o'clock. Remember, Fridays at 4 o'clock. And y'all don't call me and I'm going to do my preparation and asking me. Once we get the program on Fridays, it's going to be 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And as of now, once God's willing, we're going to be here Friday, the 30th of May at 4 p.m. to bring you another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. In the meanwhile, stay safe, and bye.